Yeah. You're an avid reader today.
Yes.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah. I had, when I worked for the city, my office was what they call the Memorial Library, Richard Bagley Library. People sometimes would come in and they would joke, and they would say, because it was just like this background. And they say, have you read all those books? And I said, well, these are just the books I've written.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
look too close. It's just wallpaper.
Yeah. Are we ready to go, Kelly? Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order. And attendance, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So
Bob
moved,
Powell,
Judy.
Orlando.
Second, Dave Morrison.
Okay. Any conflict of interest? Okay. Correspondence from John Smith, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make the members aware that there was 3 letters circulated. I believe they were circulated to all members of the board recently, and it was regarding the one aspect of what we'll touch on today regarding the budgetary process for leading into for 2025 for the development of the 2026 budget. And the 3 pieces of correspondence, there was one from the clerk in the village of New Maryland, or sorry, the CAO for the village of New Maryland. There was one from the CAO of the city of Fredericton, and one from Director Rogers from the city of Fredericton as well. And I just wanted to bring to your attention. Oh, good afternoon, Director Rogers. Welcome. We're just in the correspondence portion of the meeting. So all 3 letters had a common element in terms of looking at the budget process. There was some there was some unclarity, if you will, or not so great clarity around amendments that had been made to the Regional Service Delivery Act and to the regulation. And so there was no harm, no foul. We were just having a conversation about what could be the budget process for this year. We've clarified with the Department of Environment and Local Government, and the budget must be advertised for 45 days as per usual. And then we can go down to a minimum of 15 days on any subsequent voting on that. The 3 letters that were received, the one from the Village of New Maryland had concerns about member municipal councils approving of the CRSC budgets, and they were concerned about the potential of a 7-day window on a 15-day publishing of the budget. And around that, they had some concerns that were to be expressed, and these will also be shared with the Finance Committee, but concerns around municipal councils and staff taking time to review the process of CRSC budgets. That particular process resides with each individual municipality. As you know, the fiduciary responsibility to pass a budget is that of the directors of the board, and that is the mayors that are elected in the region and the rural district chair that form the body corporate, and that's where that fiduciary responsibility lies. The process in which each member takes to review the process, that's up to the member in terms of who they consult and how they consult within the budget. So there were requests in each of the letters that were common. One was to certainly to have further detail within the budget process, and there was also to schedule clear timelines around the budget process, all of which is under consideration within that. And within the budget process this year, going to committee of the whole process will certainly allow for a much more rigorous examination of the budget, and allow for much more scrutiny. And if municipalities and the rural district are very interested, staff should be paying attention to what's happening at the board. And when these meetings are, we put these meetings out, everybody knows when they are, and they are broadcast live. And we have no issue with transparency on any aspect whatsoever. So, the CAO of the city of Fredericton also reiterated that they would be providing input and comment to Director to their director with respect to the RSC budget. So I just want to make everyone aware of that. Kelly has them. We were hoping to meet in person and we would have had them for you, but we do have them electronically if need be. So anyway, I don't know if there's any questions on that or any follow-up, but our comments, Mr. Chair, but I'll turn it back to you.
Oh, I see Judy has her hand up.
Okay, so will you be responding to those 3 letters that came out, John?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, the one that came from the village, I noticed our CAO, she addressed it to you and also the directors. So will all the directors be getting a copy of that?
In terms of the letter, I believe it was sent or shared with all the directors. I believe
It
Director
was.
Corey, you had received it as well as chair of the finance committee, and I believe others have as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further? I don't see any other hands. Okay, so we can move on then to review the proposed changes. Don, is that you? You're muted, Don.
Sorry,
It's
it was
okay.
pretty brilliant and I forget it now, but in your package, you have a staff report from us, which is recommending the 7 changes to the procedural bylaw and 2 minor changes to the PrAC bylaw. And I'm going to go through each of them. But just for context, this is a process that the governance committee goes through every year. It kind of reflects on challenges we may have experienced in the previous year, legislative updates, and perhaps some organizational needs. Most of the 7 changes that are recommended to the procedural bylaw this year grew out of the MC advisory report and this discussion that we had around that at the Winter Forum, also at our February 20th governance meeting and the March 4th board meeting. The changes to the bylaw are an administrative process, and when this finally goes to the board in whatever form the committee chooses today, the voting method to pass will be a simple majority of the members present. So I'll move on from that kind of overview to the changes which are in the bylaw, which is in your package, and they're highlighted by yellow. And the first change is at page 8, and it deals with the term of the chair. In the past, the chair has been elected for a term, a 1-year term, and was eligible for 3 additional terms. It is the wish of the board that our committee appointments that our committee appointments be 2 years. And so we're recommending a clause 2.4.1 that the term of the chair and vice chair also be 2 years with an opportunity for 1 renewal. So this lines up the chair and vice chair with the same term as committees, and also keeps the concept that the chair can be reelected. And so I'd be curious as to the committee's views on that particular clause. And before we move on to the next item in the suggested change.
Anybody have any comments?
Sorry, I never know where to. I do.
Yeah.
I don't know where my
Okay, Kate,
hand.
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm looking for my hand thing. I feel that they're different every time. Every setup seems different. I don't know where my raised hand is, but thank you. So I was thinking about, I mean, I understand the rationale and the alignment, and like I totally appreciate where it's coming from. My sense would be that it might be helpful that it remain 1 year and that we cycle through, that we do like a rotation, like the vice president automatically moves into president. That instead of us elongating, if anything, we're shortening, like this idea that a person can have 3 1-year terms, 1 year renewable up to 3 times. That's even more than I would like. And then the idea that it could be 2 years renewable too, it means that one person could chair the RSC for 4 years, up to 4 years. And my sense is it would be really helpful for more communities to have the opportunity to chair the RSC. It might enhance their learning, or I don't know, it might also give opportunities. We all know the benefits of chairing. You develop a deeper understanding of the organization or of the staff, and I think, so I was thinking it might be helpful to look at a different model, that instead of looking at extending, we looked at a sort of this rotation or this cyclical model, where that certainly lots of organizations have in their board of directors, where you move through your vice chair 1 year, then you become the president the next year, and the president cycles out. So I was wondering if there was an interest in entertaining that sort of a model.
Do you have anything further?
No, other
Okay.
than I just do believe it would be helpful to give more people the opportunity. We all fall into this track of, oh, that person's been the chair, we don't want to go against them if they want to do it again. I mean, it happens in every organization I've ever been involved in. I always found, I can speak to the Playhouse Board of Directors because that's one that's top of mind, but I've certainly been at other organizations that's been the same. It's actually really good to have constant movement in the sort of in your vice chair and chair role. There's a real benefit there. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Director. Director Morrison?
Yep, I like the idea. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I like the idea of having a 2-year term, the same as the chairs of our committees, just due to the fact that you get 1 year in, you kind of get on a roll, and you get a second year, you kind of know more so what's going on, and then the next 2-year term is up to election. I wouldn't like the idea of a vice chair automatically becoming chair. Things change, and it gives the opportunity for the board to have a vote and have another chairman in place in that 2-year time. And that's not saying that the first chair can't reoffer and be elected in also, but it just seems to be a better way of doing things.
Okay, anybody else have any comments? Director Powell?
I like the process that you vote every year. It only takes a few minutes if everyone's in favor, but if someone's there and maybe they're not happy with them, we can re-vote. So I like it every year.
Okay, anybody else? Director Wilson-Shee?
Thank you. I don't have a concern with having an open competition, put your name forward. Anybody that sits around the table is more than welcome to either put their name forward or have someone nominate them. And I've never heard any feedback about, well, this person's running, I'm not certainly going to run. So it's free for all, and anybody that comes to the table and sits there is more than welcome to put their name forward. So I agree with that, and I don't mind the 2-year term, but I don't agree with like the vice chair stepping up. I think that's up to the board of directors who they'd like to see filling that spot. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so shall we move on then?
No, there's another hand.
Oh, sorry, Kate, did you have, Director
No,
Rogers, did you have another?
Mayor Corey has his hand up, and then I
Oh,
will say
okay.
something else, but his hand was
Sorry, I
first.
can't see any hands up.
Oh, okay, sorry. I like the 2-year model. There is, as there are at our tables, there's an awful lot that goes on that isn't that hour that we spend in a meeting. And there's a fair amount to learn about that, and it's an opportunity to see some of the other workings of the commission. So I like the 2-year model, but I like the election part of that. And I wouldn't want to have a vice chair or that sort of thing that was automatically going into the chair, because our worlds change often. So
All right, Director Rogers, do you had something further?
Yeah, the model is the FCM model is really where it comes from, right? That's how FCM happens. You get into vice president positions and then you go up. So that's sort of where and again, it allows exposure. But but no, I understand. Obviously, people don't want to go in that direction, but it's a well-utilized model in the municipal sector. And you still do get to you elect a vice president every year who trains as who almost is like a president in training while they're vice president, and then they move in. So to me, it ensures that your chair has a little bit of experience as opposed to the chair just every 2 years or every year or every 2 years. It's just someone who could just become chair. It demonstrates that they've had experience being in the vice chair position before they become chair. So that's sort of the rationale. It's utilized at, like I say, FCF and on a lot of boards, but it's clear. I don't think this committee is going in that direction, but I was just sort of rationalizing where I got the idea from. It's a well-tried and used model.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else? Okay, Don, can we move on?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the committee's view, but not surprising, it kind of lines up with the discussion that was previously held at the board. The second change deals as on page 11, section 3.1.5. We have in some of our committees where membership is not constrained to directors. And by that, I'm talking about public safety, economic expansion, and community development. We've been challenged with attendance of some members. And as a result, staff, this is not something that was discussed previously. Staff are recommending that in the event that members miss 3 consecutive meetings without prior notice or reaching out to explain their absence, that they be automatically removed from the committee. In a practical point of view, this has never been the case for directors. We have really strong attendance by our directors and strong communication with them. But we did believe that this, if we're going to have someone who's not attending to the meetings, we would like to have this position declared vacant and seek someone who will attend and who will participate.
Okay,
So
is there any comments or questions on this?
I have a question. So
Director Corey?
maybe it's me and the fog in the day. I'm not sure. We're talking about the board or the PrAC board, right?
Yes.
So I would be, the act says who will serve and how that's determined. And if the community chooses to not attend, or the leader of that community chooses to not attend, they don't get the vote. So
I could provide some clarification. You referred to PrAC, which is a committee of the board. This clause is embedded in section 3, which deals specifically with our committees and not the board itself, because we don't have the authority. No one has the authority to dismiss a director other than the minister.
Okay, so at a committee level, I'm okay with it. I think it makes sense at a committee level.
If committee so pleases, even though this is in the section on committees, we could add the word committee to the beginning of this that says committee members who miss 3 consecutive committee meetings shall be removed from the committees. We say committee 3 times then in that sentence, but it really focuses and might prevent some misunderstanding in the future.
Is there any comments or questions on it? Judy, with machine, please.
Okay, so just for clarification, say, does this include, like, say, the finance committee? Any of the committees of the board? Is that what it includes, Don?
So written it would. From a practical point of view, I don't see it impacting. I don't see it impacting members of the board work on committees. First off, the attendance is extremely strong. Second, we are in contact with them on a very frequent basis. I don't think there's a director who doesn't hear from some member of staff at least once during a month. However, we do have in our code of conduct, the board, for a violation of code of conduct, the board does have the authority to remove directors from committees. So we're not looking for an additional power here with respect to committees, but from a practical point of view, I don't see it happening.
Okay,
And the intent, I should say, the intent was clearly for non-board committee members where we have had some attendance issues.
and I agree. Thank you.
As well, Dawn, but would there be any way of informing communities about this? Like council members that wouldn't be attending meetings before this happened?
From a practical point of view, yeah, I think that would be, I think that would be a courtesy, a common courtesy, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Director Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that's a great idea for the missing the 3 consecutive, but they also should have in there a number of missed meetings throughout a 1 year period. It might be 4, it might be 5, but somebody can, they can miss 2 and then come to 1 and then miss another 2, so on and so forth. So kind of have a double kick in there. If you miss 3 consecutive or a number within a 1 year period, would result with the same idea.
Thank you.
I don't know whether you can see my hand, David, or not, so.
Yeah, just a second. John, you had a comment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to also point out in 315, it talks about who missed 3 consecutive meetings without prior notice or valid reason. So if we understood it to be a health reason or something else, we would normally take action and out of courtesy try to mitigate that so that it wasn't perpetuated in an ongoing manner. So there is there's a bit of a caveat in there too. We have to understand, hopefully we'd understand if it's just pure not showing up, then we have a problem and we would notify, as you had said, Mr. Chair, an opportunity to notify the community. Thank you.
Okay, Director Corey.
I would just like to see, Don, some clarification in that, then something of the idea that members who are not directors who miss 3 consecutive committee meetings, I can't imagine it. Well, I can. I was going to say I can't imagine it ever happening, but it's a way. If a director were to miss 3, someone may bring that issue forward as a way to do something else. So because we're the elected and the act tells us we have to be there or appoint an alternate on a regular basis, then I'd like to make that clear in that piece, not just simply say that there's no likelihood of it happening.
If we were to, how would the committee feel if there were, instead of starting members who miss, if the sentence started non-director committee members who miss 3 consecutive meetings?
I would feel more comfortable with that.
Me too.
That sounds like a consensus, so we will undertake to change that in whatever comes forward from the committee to the board for May.
Okay, is there any other comments? I can't see anybody's hands or anything. Okay, so let's move on to the next one.
Yes, please. So the next change is on page 12, and it's probably the most substantive change in the bylaw, and it's only 4 words. But in 3.5.2, section B, the duties of the Finance Committee are detailed as in that section to receive, review, and make recommendations to the Committee of the Whole for annual budget deliberations. This was a point that clearly grew out of the MC advisory report and was discussed at length at our last board meeting, that directors would like to have, I guess, more chance to review, question, participate in the actual budget that ultimately is distributed to the member communities for their consideration.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, move on to the next one.
So the next change will be found on page 19, and it's related to the change that we just reviewed. And this is where the Committee of the Whole process is defined. So rather than our procedural bylaw details the way that we operate, and it is it takes priority over everything else other than the legislation. For things that aren't in our bylaw, we rely on Robert's Rules of Order, and there's a section in Robert's Rules of Order about committees of the whole, and we could have just relied on that, but our thought was we'll detail how the Committee of the Whole will work. It'll be in our bylaw. If directors have a question, they don't have to go to the 3,300-page Robert's Rules of Order book. So all of section 5.9 talks about the Committee of the Whole. In summary, it says that the Committee of the Whole operates the same way that the board does, with the exception of the fact that the rules of debate are relaxed. And so you don't need a motion on the floor to discuss something. Directors aren't constrained to only speaking once on the issue. And so that's what we tried to do. We also tried to make it clear in this language, also try to make it clear that Committee of the Whole does not make any decisions. They don't have the authority to make decisions. Their purpose is to make recommendations to a regular board meeting.
Okay, is there any questions or comments on this?
Yes, I have a question. I'm just trying to find it in the document, Don, but I'll notice of meeting under our regular meetings would apply or in this case.
Yes.
So what is our notice of meeting now? Is it 24 hours or 5 days?
It's not 5 days. The American, our meetings are detailed every year with a resolution that lists our board meetings. The chair has the authority to call a special board meeting, and I'm not remembering at this instant what the notice period is, but as Kelly is
2 days.
2 days.
I believe so, but I'm looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kelly, it's in section 5.3, calling of meetings.
Thank you.
It's just that this will be treated like a regular meeting, and I'm assuming in a new year it would find its way onto that list of meetings in that resolution.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
we don't know how many we don't know how many committee of the whole meetings there will be. We know that there will be at least one for the budget process. Staff are working now, getting ready to bring a proposal to the Finance Committee on the 24th. And the model that we're developing allows 2 committee of the whole meetings to discuss the budget. So in subsequent years, we would also look to schedule those as well in that resolution.
And I'm just trying to think through the process of, because as soon as we are at committee of the whole with the budget document, then it will have made its way into the communities.
Yes,
Not-
it
not-
will have made its way in, but while we're in committee of the whole, the budget won't be finalized.
Mhm.
So there will be discussions, and I'm speculating, of course, but I think there'll be dialogue and give and take, and what the actual distribution of the budget to our member communities will happen after the 2 committee of the whole meetings, and can only happen at a board meeting. And so it may even be, if there are 2 of them, in the second one, the board could decide to come out of committee and then have a meeting to distribute. Or staff could be sent away again to make further directions. But you are right that our regular notice rules will apply.
And it is.
I think it makes a difference when we get into the 7 days, 45-day issue, that's all.
It does.
Okay. And Kelly, you said it was 2 days written
It is.
notice?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, should we move on?
So the next change in the procedural bylaw is in section 6.5, which talks about the order of business. And what we have done in this section is we've raised a subsection called the consent agenda. And so just for clarity, we thought it would be helpful to outline the rules around a consent agenda, particularly emphasizing that any director can ask for an item to come off the consent agenda if they wish to speak to it, for any reason. And it also details where that item will be placed on the agenda. So it will follow immediately after the adoption of the consent agenda. And it also formalizes the rules around for the chair with respect to detailing each item on the consent agenda. And then finally, it clarifies for the record that the consent agenda in the minutes, it'll just be listed as an approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right.
I do have an
Mr. Chair-
item that I missed in the previous one that I'd like to go back to when we get a chance, so.
Director
So-
Burr, you want to go for that now, or
It's up to you.
please?
Okay, so 5942. All votes of the committee of the whole shall be decided by simple majority of members present. That I understand why we might want a process for helping us move to consensus. But that wording tells me that a decision is taking place where a decision can't take place. And it may have a process for helping us move on from a topic to the next topic. But it doesn't mean that if, for example, at the committee of the whole, that a decision is made, I can't think of a good example, but if a decision is made that I don't agree with, that's always a good example. And but more people agree with that than not. And we may or may not have all of the directors present for that session. and other information may come forward. So we get to the board meeting and we say a decision was made by the committee, which we can't do.
So
So
it
a
also
recommendation-
clearly states that, I believe, it's clear that, the committee of the whole, the only decision they can make is to make a recommendation to the board. And so you are right, all members may not be present, but you can't meet without a quorum. The reason that it is a straight majority, it recognizes the fact that it's nothing other than a recommendation to the board. And there's also language that specifically says that 5941, the committee of the whole is advisory in nature, and all votes taken within the committee shall be for the purposes of forming recommendations to the board. And so I think it's that section that provides comfort for the point that you've raised.
And it's if we fail to deal with the issues put forward by the major vote holders at the committee of the whole, then we won't have value in moving on to the board meeting, with a recommendation. That's all I'm looking at. So, okay, thank you.
Would it be possible, Don, to change the word vote to recommendations? Just on 5.9.4, just take out the word voting and just leave the recommendations?
Well, that would challenge staff in terms of trying to, and I think the rest of the board in trying to determine the purpose of the committee of the whole is to make a recommendation. And so I think implicit in that is a need to determine the views of the majority, and the best way to do that is through a vote.
Okay, is there anything further? So we'll go back to
the next spot in our review is at the very end of the at the very end of the draft of the bylaw and section 9. And what we have done here is we have rewritten this to in anticipation of a recommendation to rescind one of the financial policies that we currently have, which is where we describe out-of-pocket expenses. So we've placed this in our bylaw. We rely on the federal government, Revenue Canada's annual determination as to a reasonable amount for mileage and meals. I would draw your attention to the fact that a bit of an oversight by me. This section should read directors and employee expenses in the wording below the heading 9.1. It says the director shall be reimbursed, and that should say the directors and employees shall be reimbursed. And then it details the rates, how they're set. It clarifies that out of the province travel on behalf of staff needs to be specifically approved by the CEO. And it also sets the rate as of the beginning of this year. And so that, Mr. Chair, concludes our understanding of the direction that we were given in all of those sessions that I referenced at the beginning of the discussion.
okay, is there any comments or questions on that last section we just went over? Okay, so let's
Oh, Mr. Chair,
sorry.
Director Wilson, she has a comment.
Oh, sorry. Director Wilson, see?
I just got a quick question for Don. When you say the directors and employees, that would be plural, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Because up above it just got directors and employee expenses. Employees. Okay, thank you.
Well, possessive rather than plural, right? The plural possessive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
With respect to the PrAC bylaw, there a very modest change in that, which is it comes on page 17, and the first item it's in section 9. The first item is just links the PrAC reimbursement for mileage and meals to the procedural bylaw, to section 9.1 of the procedural bylaw. And then down below in section 10, it changes the word from the Municipalities Act to the Local Governance Act, just simply updating the phraseology there. So that's all that we have identified in that's all that we have identified in as a result of the discussions that we've had.
All right. Is there any questions or comments? No.
So, Mr. Chair, what we will do is we will make those mild edits that were discussed here to this document. We will make sure that it has draft, these documents, make sure it has draft on it, and append them to your report for the May board meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
And secondarily, you have a staff report with respect to a one-time extension of committee terms. This was also discussed at the same sessions that we had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. We have 1 year left to go for committee terms, and it was the view of the board that rather than shuffle the deck in all of these committees now, that the existing assignments be extended to the next year, which also will line up with the quadrennial municipal elections. So so we have that staff report. Again, it's an administrative decision. There's a motion, a very simple one, included in the report. And if I guess staff are looking for confirmation that we did understand the direction that we had received.
Okay, looks good to me. Is there any comments from anybody? No. Okay, so we can
Quick
move on
one,
then.
David, just a
Oh,
quick one
Director Corey?
on the committee. Since a lot of us weren't at the table prior to committees being established, although we all had a chance to put our hand up and say where we would prefer to serve if the opportunity was there. I, for one, I'm not very aware of what the process is for determining who will get to sit on which committee, even if they say they would like to be on one, you know? So maybe having a little bit of background on that process somewhere in one of our sessions would be helpful.
We
I
can
think I
certainly,
know what happened, but
yeah, we can certainly do that. The upshot is that after election of the chair and vice chair meet to determine committee assignments for the following meeting. In the intervening period of time, they poll the board on their preferred committees, and every effort has historically been made to accommodate that, although it's not always possible. And we also reach out to the directors for suggestions from counselors or community advocates for the 3 committees that have I'll call them civilian directors on it.
Okay. Is there anything else on that? No. So we'll move on to just the general discussion and direction to staff. Has anybody got any other comments or questions?
What
No.
about the terms of the budget? Where we have the 45 days, where does that fall in the governance? Does it fall in there? I don't see it anywhere.
So, Mr. Chair, that's not listed in our procedural bylaw because it's covered by the legislation. And the legislation requires a 45-day, call it standstill period or a period of review. In the event that budget is not subsequently passed, different versions of the budget or subsequent new budgets have a 15-day notice period. And the reason for that shorter period of time is to try to ensure that the RSC budget is finalized so that municipalities can take those inputs into their own municipal budgets.
Okay.
And so
Anything further?
Mr. Chair, sorry.
So the municipalities only have the 15 days to.
No.
To
there's
look at
a 45-day period, Director Powell. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, sorry. Under the Act, it's when the budget is distributed to the municipalities, it's under the same frame that we had used in subsequent years. It's a 45-day period, and there's a 15-day notification of amendments. Then those are distributed, circulated, and considered by the board. Following that, should a vote, as we've had, as you know, in previous years, primarily in the first year, we had to ask for an extension of time because we were well into December before we were able to pass the vote. And our target time, correct me if I'm wrong, Don, is November 1st.
That's
is the time that is in legislation. So a second round of voting, there's a 15-day time period on that. In which to circulate to communities to facilitate having your budget prepared for the November 1st deadline. So we plan on starting early and going to committee of the whole. The belief is that going to committee of the whole and everybody having the same opportunity to ask questions, to review the budget, bring your issues, your questions, your concerns forward, we should be able to address pretty much everything there, and there should be no surprises when the budget is distributed.
Okay. Thank you, John. Director Corey?
But we're not making a decision the board hasn't made a decision yet to say it will never be more than 15 days. That's the least amount of time that we can have, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
We will know more when we are making that final time. And certainly I would assume that discussion could be in front of the board as we are making that final decision, whether it becomes 7 or, well, did you say it's a max of 15 days or a minimum of 15 days? My understanding was it's a minimum.
Yes, can be a minimum of 15 days.
Okay, so, but it could be 18.
Yes.
So
should the
that's
board
a decision
decide.
That's a decision that the board could make at that point.
Yes.
Well, I know we had talked about somehow embedding it in our regulation, bylaw, guidance, but I would think that there's lots in the Act to allow us to move forward, and there's no need to embed it in the process at 15 days or 9 days or anything else. That was only my thought, I guess.
Don?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's worthy of note that 15 days only happens if a budget vote fails. So in the normal course of business, it'll be the same as it has been every year. So in the event that a budget vote failed, you would then have to try to find a budget that could pass. After 45 days, you're running out of time. And therefore, that's why the subsequent election review period is much shorter. You could say, look, we're going to take 20, but the minimum you could have is 15. In the event that a budget vote fails, you will miss the November 1st deadline. And so now the race will be on to get numbers that municipalities can use in their budgeting process. So it's only in that event, Director Powell, that 15 days comes into play.
Thank you. Is there anything further?
No, thanks.
Nope. Okay. That's it from you, Don?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chair.
Okay. John, did you have anything to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody. These are certainly very interesting discussions, and we appreciate comments, concerns when they come in, and we address them. And we'll continue to address the concerns and the matters that we heard here today, and make the appropriate changes.
Great. Okay. So can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Dave Morrison, Hamel.
Bob Powell or Musto, second it.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.